everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a December and January book haul. I don't do book hauls very often on this channel, but this time of the year is the time that I get the most books because Christmas has just passed and my birthday is 3 days before Christmas, and usually people tend to give me bookish presents for both of those events. So I do have a pretty hefty pile of books that I either got as a birthday gift or as a Christmas gift, or used a Christmas gift card to purchase. So I'm excited to go through them, and it'll give you a little bit of an idea, hopefully, of what I'm going to read this year, because usually these are kind of high priority books and ones that I want to get to relatively quickly. So the first of the one that I have is not in my bag of books because it was too giant to put in there, and that is Swan Song by Robert McCammon. So I read A Boy's Life by him, I think it was the year before last. Now, it wasn't last year, it was in 2022, and really enjoyed it. And so many people have read this one and said that they enjoyed it either as much as or maybe even more than The Stand by Stephen King, which is a book that I really love. So this is similar setup. I think it's post-apocalyptic novel where people have to band together and kind of fight against evil. I don't know if this one has magic or if it's magical realism. A Boy's Life was kind of like magical realism, so I assume there might be a little bit of that in this one as well. But it's big and chunky, but I have heard that you can kind of race through it pretty quickly. That being a relative term, obviously, and I am really excited to get to it. So hopefully this will be a 2024 book. This is one that I really hope to get to sometime this year. And then before I go into my book bag, I have like a big bag of books here that I was gathering up as we were putting all of our stuff away for the holiday season. There is one book that's not in the bag, and it's because I already put it downstairs on the shelf, and that is a volume of Banana Fish. So my mom gave me two volumes of Banana Fish for my birthday, but they're already put away with the other volumes. So you'll just have to take my word for it that they're there. After that, we have a work of nonfiction. So this is The Reign of Marvel Studios, the MCU. So one of my friends from medical school gave me this book, and we went through the very first phase of the MCU together. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of started up right before we got into med school. So there had only been a couple of movies out before med school started. And so we were really good friends. We met in med school. We spent a lot of our time together, and we used to go see most of those movies together. And we spent a lot of time because we were both really into the MCU at that time. Now, my friend Alasan has, I think, continued to watch everything. I've kind of phased out of it a little bit now, but at that time we saw everything. We had like journals where we would keep lists of our favorite MCU movies and would rank them. And anyway, it was really fun. It was a good time. And so she had read or listened to this, I don't remember, and really enjoyed it. So gave it to me for my birthday. And I am looking forward to reading it, both because I find the history of this interesting. I mean, it became such a major phenomenon. Not that comics weren't big, but they went from being big in certain circles to being like a wide-swept cultural phenomenon for both comic and non-comic enjoyers. So I am interested in reading this, and I think it'll just bring back some nostalgic memories. It'll just remind me of being in med school, and I'm not going to say that was always a good time, but spending time with her was always a good time. So that's the part that I want to remember. After that, this was a birthday gift from another real-life friend whose name is Laura. Funnily enough, we met through fan fiction. So we became friends when I first started writing fan fiction, like a decade ago, a decade ago, which sounds wild. But she sent me The Book of Night by Holly Black and said that she really enjoyed reading it. Again, I haven't read a ton of stuff by Holly Black, but I did enjoy her, what's it called? Something Air, Stolen Air, maybe, the fairy one that came out. It was a YA trilogy. I think this is Holly Black's adult fantasy debut, but I'm looking forward to reading it. If for no other reason, then I can discuss it with Laura, and she is always discussing books that I have already read, so it's always nice when she's read one first that we can kind of flip the tables and talk about that one. Similarly, this was a birthday gift from my sister, Becky, and this is The Vanished Birds by Simon Jimenez. And this one is, I honestly don't know what the book is about, but I recently read The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez and thought that it was brilliant, so interesting, so unique. I imagine this is the same style, like literary fantasy with very interesting conventions and narrative structure. I am not going to read the flap because I think I would rather go in not knowing what it's about, but I do have faith that I will like it. And I really like the cover, like the colors and stuff on the cover. So this one hopefully will be a pretty high priority read for 2024. Then we have one that I've already talked about and already read for January. So that was volume 2 of Magical Boy, which is a graphic novel for, I would say, like upper middle grade readers. There is some language in here. So I actually didn't think I was going to tell Juliet to read this one, because even though I think she would like the premise, it does have like some language that I hope she hasn't been exposed to yet, but she read it. And she didn't talk about the word that's in it, which is a bad word starting with S, if you can come up with that. And she didn't mention anything about the bad word. So hopefully she just liked it and skimmed on over that part. After that, Banana Fish is in here. Sorry to Banana Fish. I didn't actually, one of them is here. The other one I must have brought downstairs. But I also have these 3 volumes of Yona of the Dawn, which is a gift from my sister as well. I have watched and really enjoyed the Yona of the Dawn anime, and was really sad that there was never a second season made. So there's just a single season of the anime, which probably covers, I would imagine, like the first, like, I don't know, between 5 and 10 volumes, depending on how closely they adapted. But I really like the story. I really love Yona and Hawk, the main characters, and it was a really good coming of age story with a character. So Yona starts off as a very naive character who quickly becomes very resourceful and has her eyes open to the way of the world and starts to work towards helping other people and helping herself. And I really, really liked it. So I am now hoping to collect these. I had wanted to get them a couple years ago when I first watched the anime, but it was very difficult to find the first volumes. That happens with manga sometimes. Like when it's translated to English, you'll find that certain volumes will go out of stock and it'll be very difficult to find them, and then they'll kind of come back in. So I am happy to finally have those, and I'm going to begin reading that once I build up a few more, because a couple of volumes like that is really just going to take an afternoon to read. So once I've built up a few more volumes, I'll be able to get started on Yona. After that, so this one is starting with a gift. So Gideon the Ninth was a Christmas gift from my parents, and I wanted to have these in hardcover so that I could do a reread definitely before the 4th book gets released. So they got me the hardcover of Gideon the Ninth, and then I used a gift card that I had for Christmas to fill in and get Harrow and Nona the Ninth. So this is a twofold win, because I really wanted to reread these books, so I am excited to be able to reread them. But also I got some books that I have already read, so I'm not contributing to the problem of an ever increasing physical TBR once I pick up copies of books that I really enjoyed but didn't own. Next, we have a gift from my husband, from Andrew. So he got me the new Inheritance book. So I did read the Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini, which is a YA series about dragons and dragon riders. Way back when it came out, it was actually my youngest sister. It was one of her favorite fantasy series, and we would read that together. And this is the newest addition to that series. I'm going to call it Murtaugh, but if I remember correctly, there was a pronunciation guide in the back of the Aragon books where they call him Murtagh. And I was like, I'm just sorry, but I'm not going to say that. So I know that Murtaugh is not right according to the pronunciation guide, but that's what I have always said, and that is what I will continue to say. So that is that. This one was also from Andrew. So this was a surprise gift that I didn't have on any kind of like book wish list or anything like that. And that is the anniversary edition of Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, which has this really beautiful mint cover and then the sprayed and decorated edges. I really enjoy Rainbow Rowell. I really like Fangirl, and I was very happy that Andrew saw this, so he knew that I enjoyed this book and picked it up and got it for me. So I'm very excited to give that one a reread. I had thought about rereading it over Christmas, but I already had a lot of things on the go that I was trying to get through, so I didn't get to do that. So maybe I will pick it up sometime this winter, or maybe I'll save it and read it next year. But some of it takes place over a university semester, so some of it certainly is Christmassy, but it's not all Christmassy. It's just the cover makes it seem very much like a fall and Christmas book. After that, we've got a cute little bookmark that so this was Juliet's Christmas present to me, is that she made this bookmark and laminated, and it says, "This is my night table," and has like a list of some of my favorite books and my blue glasses on top of it. So she made me one for Christmas and made me one for my birthday as well. So I don't have the birthday one in here, but it's also really cute. It is a picture of a sun based on The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway, and it has the quote, "Isn't it pretty to think so?" which is a really famous quote from that book. And she also laminated that one with her dad's help, and so gave me that one for my birthday, and it was really sweet. So it was that was a good surprise, and they're really cute. I will use them in my books this year. Next up, we have Iron Widow. So this one was a Christmas gift from my sister, and this is a YA story. I talked about it in my January TBR because this one I am also reading this month, but it is a book that is kind of based loosely on China's only female emperor, and I think it also involves giant mechs, like giant robots. So I'm excited to read that one as well. I have not read that one yet for January, so that one's coming up at the end of the month. Then we have Jade Legacy. So this is also from my sister. My sister bought me a lot of books between my birthday and Christmas this year. So this one was also from my sister, and this was to complete my Greenbone Saga collection. So I owned the first 2 books in softcover, and then when the third one came out, I didn't want to get the hardcover copy, and so I read it on Kindle, and then now I'm finally continuing that collection. So now I have the full trilogy in the matching covers. Next up, we have, this is a book from my mother-in-law and father-in-law, I guess, but she's the one who picks out the gifts, I'm sure. So this is Memories of Ice. So this is the 3rd book in the Alasan Book of the Fallen series. The 2nd book I had on so many TBRs last year, and I genuinely wanted to read it, and I just didn't get around to it. So it is my goal to get through both of these this year, and then either continue on with more this year, or at least have these 2 finished, so that I can then read more of the series next year. I'll take a couple out at a time now. So we also have, so this is another gift. So this was a Christmas gift from my friend Laura that I talked about earlier. So this is another Holly Black book. So she got me The Stolen Heir, which is the continuation of, what is the name of the trilogy in here, or the name of the series? Maybe it's called the Folk of the Air series, actually. So I think that might be it. But this is the continuation of that series, and this is the first novel, and she read this one and also really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to reading that one too. And then this is another work of nonfiction. So this is from another med school friend of mine named Julia. She got me this work of nonfiction, which is called The Art Thief. And this is one that I saw around. And I'm not gonna lie, like, it caught my eye initially because there's a bat on the cover, but I know it's not about bats. It's about artwork. But it was really well reviewed last year. I believe it was either the Goodreads winner for Best Nonfiction, or at least a nominee for either 2022 or 2023, whenever it came out. And I am really looking forward to it. It's not a super long one, so I think I will jumpstart my nonfiction reading of the year with this book for sure. That one's a little bit easier to get into than some of the longer, chunkier works of nonfiction that I have. I'm just gonna pull this one out. So this is another kind of surprise gift from Andrew. And that is The Ultimate Encyclopedia of Fantasy, the definitive illustrated guide. So he saw this in the store and thought that it would be nice. He was like, you could make a video about it. So I'm sure there's some cool stuff in here that I could make a video about, but it's basically just an encyclopedia of the history of fantasy. So in terms of like fantasy books, fantasy TV, fantasy games, fantasy films, and it's just really nice. There's a lot of really cool pictures in here. Some really good clips. We've got the Xena, the giant Xena picture, which I'm a big fan of, in the middle. But yeah, it looks really fun. There's just lists of basically influential fantasy works in lots of different mediums or media. We've got Cora in here. So anyway, I have like flipped through this, just a general flip through, but I have not fully read it. So I am looking forward to doing that as well. And we're getting to the end, guys. Oh. So the next couple, these are also from my friend Julia as birthday gifts this year. And so one of them is The Lines of Alasan by Guy Gavriel Kay, and the other is A Brightness Long Ago by Guy Gavriel Kay. So I had mentioned to her, and Julia's very thoughtful. She's a very thoughtful gift giver. So if I ever mention to her that I have enjoyed an author, she will definitely like look it up and see what other books he has and all those things. And she did a great job with these two. So I had mentioned that I really enjoyed Tagana, and then I had told her I was reading Under Heaven at the end of this year as well, and she picked out these two books, and I don't have either of them. I have not read either of them, so I am very pleased to have them because I do want to continue. Guy Gavriel Kay is one of my high priority authors to just read more from, so I'm excited to get into both of those books, hopefully sometime this year. Then the next, I probably shouldn't talk while I'm like squashed over. But the next couple are ones that I picked up myself. So these are all from a recent trip to the bookstore with the gift cards that I had from Christmas and my birthday. So the first one is the third volume of Thousand Autumns, which is a Chinese web novel. And this is the third volume of the English translation. So I have not started this series. It's hard because these books, and I talked about this in some of my wrap-up end of the year videos, because these aren't really a series, it's just a book that has been kind of chopped into smaller pieces for publication purposes. It's really hard to stop. Like, you're not stopping all the time at a natural ending point. You want to know, you want to continue on with the story. So I'm trying to save this until at least like the second to last volume is out. So I won't have a long wait when I have to continue. I think there's going to be 5 in total for this one, and this is number 3. So I think the 4th one comes out sometime in the spring, like maybe late spring, early summer. So hopefully I'll get started on that series before too long. And then if you watched my goals video for 2024, one of my goals was to read more Indigenous authors. And they actually had a really nice display at Chapters when I went there to go book shopping. And so I picked a couple of books from that display that looked interesting. So the first one is called Making Love with the Land by Joshua Whitehead. And this one is, I know I read the inside cover, but I don't remember. It says, it's a startling, challenging, uncompromising look at what it means to live as an Indigenous person in the rupture between identities. So I think this is more of like nonfiction, but it sounded really interesting, and the cover was very beautiful and arresting when I saw it in the store. So I figured that that would be a nice one to pick up. And then the second is a short story collection that a friend of mine had read and said that they really enjoyed, and that's called Never Whistle at Night. And this one is a collection, an Indigenous dark fiction anthology. And I do believe that some of the contributors are Canadian. I don't think everybody is Canadian, but I think some of them are at least. And I am looking forward to this one. The cover for this one is also beautiful. This is what caught my eyes. I was walking by this display. I was like, whoa, those are some nice covers. And then I was like, oh, this is Indigenous author. So I should check those out and see if there's any that I want to read. And those are 2 that definitely caught my eye. And then the very last books on this book haul are books that I picked up in preparation for March. I think usually there is a middle grade March event that happens that I haven't participated in before or haven't tried to read middle grade in March, but there is a middle grade series that I have wanted to read for a long time, and that is the Dark is Rising sequence by Susan Cooper, sorry, not Suzanne. So by Susan Cooper. So I grabbed the first 2 books. The first one is called Over Sea Under Stone, which I think might be a Chronicles of Narnia situation. I think maybe this is the first book chronologically, but not, I don't think it was published first. I wonder if it, like, very quickly I could tell from the inside text. 1965 by Susan Cooper. And then the second one is called The Dark is Rising. And this one was published in 1973. No, I guess it is. Nope, I guess I was wrong. But I think these are based in Arthurian legend, and I think the second one is is much closer to like the typical Arthurian legend that we know, and the first one is about something a little bit different. But I think there's 5 books in this sequence altogether, and I grabbed the first 2 because they were at the store, and I figured if I could read a couple of them at least in March, I can see what the series is like, and maybe we'll get one step closer to finally putting together my King Arthur recommendation video, because how else can I use the vast knowledge that I have gained over reading so many Arthurian retellings over the years? I need to put that to good use in some way. So once I get this one, this is the last like major kids series that I haven't read, and I really did want to get to it before I put that video together. So this is the motivation that I need to put together my big King Arthur video. But that is it. I say that is it. That is, for me, that is an incredible amount of books to get all at one time. Like I said, I don't really do book hauls because I don't tend to buy large amounts of books. Like, I will definitely pre-order some throughout the year, but it is rare for me to buy a bunch of books all at once. So this is probably the one time that this will happen this year. So I hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything that you have read or are interested in reading, then please let me know, and I will see you with another video soon. Bye!